Boxing Gyms, G-E-M-S, Boxing Gyms. Check it out, study some of those videos there. The guy's phenomenal. His name is Ryan. I'm telling you, all right, you'll pick up a lot of knowledge there.
Fight fam, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification. Class in session. Zurdo Ramirez versus Dimitri Bivol in a highly anticipated bout for Bivol's WBA strap. Considering both fighters' styles, this was a good film study to talk about different forms of positioning. Let's get into it. Zurdo is an excellent mid-range combination puncher. Comparisons to the great Juan Manuel Marquez come to mind, looking at Zurdo letting his hands go with a high variation of combinations, seeking the openings and winning the vast majority of 50-50s. His jab, power, and surprising hand speed have forced his 44-pass opponents to avoid the risk of getting caught in the 50-50 exchange and shell up, where Zurdo will gladly step to his spot and go to work.
Blasov may want to hurt, but now El Tigre seems to be right back in this fight. And just as I say that, Zurdo starts the less impactful at 10-8 round. Pressure here, final minute of round number 2. Big shots to the body and then the left. Has to remember that he is the champion.
During stretches in fights, Bivol has been forced into the vulnerable shelled-up position by a myriad of opponents. Whether an aggressive opponent with the quick penetration step or Bivol's aggression working against him or getting trapped on the ropes while moving laterally, Bivol has defaulted to the high guard. After achieving mid-range positioning, Zurdo is a devastating body puncher, whether it be body punches in combination or preferring to end his combinations with harder shots to the rib cage. He's hurt or taken the gas out of many of his opponents downstairs.
And he looks not just like a cruiserweight in there.
To rise to that high level of
better things in this division. Or for either man seems to be intimidated. Blasov is definitely.
And timing it well, he lands a couple in a row.
When Bivol can't be physical with clinching or happens to fall into inside exchanges, his head is the focal point of his high guard, leaving openings to the sides of his body, which could cause him trouble against the likes of Zurdo. Zurdo is likely to have a wide advantage at mid-range. If we see a fight where Zurdo is constantly able to close distance and run off combinations, it's likely we see him exit the ring as the new light heavyweight champion, but it's a tall task. Bivol's entire skill set is built around controlling distance from the outside. From simple maneuvers to the more complex, Bivol is atop the CompuBox plus-minus list for a reason. Simple reverse steps and reverse shuffles are a staple in Bivol's game. His stance and style dictate a constant balance. His anchored back leg, reflexes, and pendulum step-ready style allow him to read and react with his feet quickly to opponents trying to throw the lead back hands or taking penetration steps to close distance. The last time Ramirez fought someone with a remotely similar style was a competitive match versus Maxim Vlasov in 2015. But Vlasov was switching from controlling distance from the outside, obliging a 50-50, and inside fighting. Even still, Ramirez and Vlasov landed the same percentage of punches at 28%, with Ramirez collecting a win by outworking Vlasov and throwing more punches. But the closest card was 6-4 Ramirez. When opponents find ways to close distance on Bivol, either with the quick first step or by taking advantage of Bivol initiating and slipping in, Bivol will default to the high guard, but he also has subtle head control techniques to shut down offense and avoid the 50-50. Ramirez vs. Bivol is an open stance match with Ramirez being a southpaw. Bivol hasn't fought a southpaw since he stopped 3 in a row in 2015. However, his skill set seems to make it an easy transition with his normal feints and probes turned to fencing or jousting with the lead hand. Most high-level open stance matches have a lead hand battle for positioning. In the joust itself, high glove typically wins, which Bivol seems to understand very well. Great open stance jab jousting could potentially take away an opponent's jab and make the lead backhand predictable. It can also set traps as it adds another feint that a participating opponent may fall for. If the opponent refuses to play, they're typically at a disadvantage as the threat of the lead hand is now closer to possibly blinding you. It's controlling the dead space. It's an outstretched barrier to get through to land on a target, aka punch traffic, and it's an obstacle in the way of stepping mid-range. Bivol also uses it as a sensor or a tripwire to signal reverse steps or back step counters. Since it can't be seen, most people forget about the mental part of it, as all the aforementioned uses of lead hand play would typically cause hesitation from your opponent, which is great defense as it buys time.
Ну и мы видим, насколько Седрик Агнью опасается Дмитрия Бивола. Робкие попытки ответить. Поменял стойку.
И что его
Если Агню решит пойти вперед на Дмитрия Бивола, то там точно поединок закончится очень быстро.
провести 4 боя.
Хороший контроль ногами осуществляет Дмитрий Бивол.
Notably, he took Kelly Pavlik 10 rounds all the way back in 2011. So it just gives you some insight as to how long Lopez has been doing this at this high level.
Lopez told me his jab is his key to victory.
With a 15-9 connect advantage in the 7th round. On sheer activity and energy alone, Ramirez would appear to be winning the fight. Looking for his 31st consecutive victory.
Along with the elite lead hand, Bivol has a great lead and setup cross, a straight right hand that allows him to step in mid-range with offense quickly, then push off the front foot quickly to back out of range, matching his in and out style and still controlling distance.
Как вы помните, как-то реваншироваться американец, но Бивол держит бой под контролем.
Zurdo has issues with the cross due to a lack of head movement. When he isn't dedicating to slip counters, you can typically find his head on the center line.
He's a very graceful athlete. That's really the story of his entire
round. But in the 2nd round, Ramirez was able to up the pace.
Zurdo seems to excel.
Lopez wants to be overhand right that takes Lopez.
Чемпион этот раунд.
Победить красиво.
Бивол атаковать.
Но Кларксон крепкий орешек.
Built on top of Bivol's reverse steps and shuffles, Bivol also has excellent step back counters, whether it's the jab, cross, lead hand, hook, or combinations.
Главное, чтобы не было рецидива повторной травмы.
Хорошо.
Чтобы 3 удара.
А как это сделать? Вот в чем вопрос.
Биволом берешь.
И совсем недавно он проводил Бивол.
Я думаю, вполне очевидно после первых 2 раундов.
Again, with his head in the A slot, Zurdo tends to fall victim to step back counters as he tries to close distance. He also has the tendency to come off balance to a triangle step or cross step while throwing a backhand ending up squared, exposing his center line yet again. Physicality is important for all fighters to understand and exhibit. It's the foundation of control techniques, including basic tactics like the clinch. Surprisingly, even though Zurdo has weighed as high as 204 pounds, which would be a heavyweight, and that he prefers to be front foot dominant, he isn't very physical, whether it's being pushed around by smaller men
The mid-range, not the outside, so he can land the uppercut. Step in with the left and the right from Lopez.
You know, Ramirez has 26 knockouts. That's interesting because Zurdo seemed to abandon the body attack that he had done 1 and 2. Perhaps he goes back to it here.
Working off the jab, there's the step in, clubbing right from Lopez. There's that right uppercut again from Ramirez.
Trying to set up the power shot.
Very wide open stance by Alberto Ramirez. Lopez now stepping into the pocket.
Lopez working off of the jab, looking to dip. There's the level change right to the body, left to the head.
A little interesting thing there. Gilberto could have gotten out of danger, but he went back to the position of danger. Comes. And comes TJ.
Putting Ramirez back against the
in Russia. Vlasov says he owes all of his boxing career to him after having taken it up at 13.
Junieski González un poquito rígido, ahora hace una buena combinación, ha hecho buena defensa Gilberto Ramírez y ahí vemos ahí, vaya cabeza.
Cuidado.
Junieski González ahora un buen engancho de izquierda y vemos a Gilberto Ramírez como boxea con esa mano derecha baja con el hombro izquierdo alto, pero
or even when he has the upper hand in positioning, he will allow opponents to slide off the ropes with ease.
shots to the body, then the left hook to the head. Clubbing overhand right.
Back into the corner here, and now Ramirez is going to try to take advantage of what could be it's going to be a 10-8 round. Those are pepper punches.
Absolutely, short peppering shots. Nothing peppering about that. Big right hand, firing back is Lopez.
And that's what he has to do.
The less impactful a 10-8 round is, but make no mistake, it's still impactful.
He gets hit a lot by power shots. When he was knocked out by Robin Krasnicki about a couple of years ago, he was hit with an overhand right that was slow.
Missing. If you notice, there wasn't much of an effort to keep Bivol in these disadvantageous positions on the ropes or in the pocket. Sure, Bivol would pivot out or slightly push off at times, but Canelo didn't put up much of an effort to keep the positioning. Perhaps it was a way Canelo preserved stamina, or perhaps it was laziness due to the ease of gaining the position he wanted in his recent fights. I'll let you decide.
That Ramirez seems to have.
Yeah, and Vlasov is limited, but and right hand has had a home all night, and that's just the way. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you're not always gonna. No, don't push. Stop. Stop. If Vlasov would come behind the jab, like I spoke about.
At times, Zurdo was good with his footwork and positioning after offense, changing angles with pivots and step arounds and some forms of control. But sometimes Zurdo would just stand in high guard or pivot and not gain safe spacing at inside or mid-range with no physical controls and be completely vulnerable to a counterpunch. Sometimes it's an imbalance from throwing the backhand, leaving him square, but sometimes it's just a lack of defensive awareness and responsibility.
Lopez has to remember that he is the champion technically in this bout.
There's the left hand.
Remember something, Sean, to move up in weight, tasting the power of
the short peppering shots. Nothing peppering about that. Big right hand, firing back is Lopez.
And that's what he has.
Ahí tienen, vamos a ver si recompone ahí un poquito su box.
cómo hace ese giro, cómo trabaja ese jab derecha, la inclina, la esquiva circular, la inclinación.
Qué boxador, qué movimientos más.
I'm picking Bivol by unanimous decision. A fighter dependent on mid-range with leaky defense shouldn't have much of a chance against a fighter that is atop the plus-minus list and amongst the very best, if not the best, at controlling distance. If Ramirez is to pull off the upset, he's going to need to counter Bivol to the body and hurt him, slow him down at least to increase the possibility of mid-range exchanges. It's possible, but not probable. Sportsbook link in the description if you want some smoke. Peace.